At what point do we just say enough is enough? I am a mother. I have lost children due to miscarriages, to a stillborn, to ectopic pregnancies, and I need to get an understanding of how are we as women supposed to move forward with our bodies and our health when we still have politicians trying to control the narrative of what we do. My name is Lindsay, and I am a frustrated woman in the state of confusion because we have a society now that does not exist correctly due to Roe versus Wade being overturned almost about a year ago. Now, since that has happened, I question how I and any other woman or any spouse, boyfriend is supposed to handle the situation to where now an abortion is being mishandled. And I say an abortion only because there are two different terms of an abortion. But either way, a miscarriage, a stillborn, an induced willing abortion is still an abortion. And now we have facilities who don't know how to handle women who are going through miscarriages, who are going through a non-viable pregnancy. If a woman comes in to your facility and she is literally, water has broken, determined that the body or the fetus is not going to be a viable pregnancy, what is she supposed to do? Now, we have women whose health is possibly going to be at risk at any point in time, and because this now is a non-viable pregnancy, hospitals are not taking these women. Hospitals don't want to take these women. Hospitals don't want to be responsible for an abortion because now these physicians can be held liable about, they're liable for these babies. So now they're trying to figure out who's going to take care of this. Legal has to get involved to find out who's going to take care of this. Meanwhile, there's a woman in a situation who's scared, who has no idea what is supposed to go on, and she's just trying to get the baby out because naturally our bodies are going to have to let the baby go. But now there's no contingency plan as to what is supposed to happen when this happens. As a woman who has had children, and again, a woman who has lost children in a time when I was protected by Roe versus Wade, we are now at a point that who protects the woman? Who protects the mother that is currently pregnant with a child? Now, recently, there was a situation in Ohio with a woman by the name of Brittany Watts who went into a facility multiple times knowing that she was going to have a non-viable pregnancy, and the hospital sent her home with no plan, no idea what she's supposed to do. She gave birth to her stillborn baby at home on the toilet, and she had to go on with her day like nothing happened. And that's where people are not realizing that, yeah, she went on with her day like nothing happened because nobody told her what she needed to do. When women give birth, and this happens quite often that women will miscarry at home, what are we supposed to do with said baby? Now, the situation when I had my stillborn, I was in active labor. I went to the hospital. They identified that my child was non-viable, and I actually had to deliver my baby. They induced me, they gave me medicine, I was admitted, I gave birth to my child, and then my child was taken away. So there was a plan there at that point. So now, what's the next step when these women give birth to these babies and they're in your care? Like, now it's pretty much, you have to figure it out on your own. So what are we supposed to do now? What kind of education is being done by these doctors at these facilities with legal through the state? Like, this goes all the way up the chain of command, and it's not just in Ohio. This is all over our country that this needs to be done. There's a plan that needs to be put in place, and from the looks of it, I don't think anybody has a plan. I haven't heard a plan, haven't seen a plan, no instruction. There should be generalized instructions on how this needs to be taken care of. Yes, abortion is still legal in some places. It's still protected at some point. But in the event that women have these plans in place, now there's another layer that has to be added to our birth plan. What happens when my membranes rupture, which is when their water breaks, and then I'm going into labor and my pregnancy isn't viable? What am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to go to? What are they supposed to do? Who's going to dispose of the fetus? Who's going to take care of that? If I do it at home, what am I supposed to do? Because if I have my baby at home and then I go to the hospital, they're going to turn them away because they don't want to be responsible for it. So how are we supposed to dispose of these tissues, to dispose of these fetuses? What are we supposed to do? What am I supposed to do with my baby? How are you going to take care of me? And even then, after a woman gives birth, they still have to be monitored, especially if they've had issues. So where are we going to take care of this information? How is this going to get done? Because now we need to be reaching out to our congressmen like, hey, you guys have let this go to the wayside, and now y'all have let these Supreme Court justices overturn something. So what's the contingency plan that you have in place for all of your facilities in your state? How are you going to prevent this? Because now you're going to have issues at hand that now you don't want these doctors to be held responsible. But now guess who's going to be held responsible? The doctors, the physicians. The lawsuits are going to begin. What are we supposed to do? And that's my challenge right now, is I advocate for this, and I want to get an understanding as to what is the hospital's policy in regards to that. If I was supposed to deliver my baby, and let's just say that my baby died, like, am I going to have to be held responsible for getting my baby cremated? Am I going to have to be responsible for burying my child? Who's going to be the person that's going to have to collect this? Because they don't think about that part. So now, as a woman, I am going to start encouraging women that even a part of your birth plan, you need to have a contingency plan in place. Because if these physicians, if these hospitals don't want to take you, they don't want to take you in the midst of possible chaos, and they know that this isn't going to be a viable pregnancy for you, what am I supposed to do afterwards? Do I need to find out what are the local funeral homes? How much is it going to cost for me to get this baby cremated? How much is it going to cost for me to do this? How much is it going to cost for me to bury my child? How much is a casket? How much is a casket for a baby? Just going back and thinking about my situation, even in my fog of confusion, I had to pretty much, I had a mini ceremony in the chapel. They gave me a list of options, either to bury the baby, have a funeral, have the baby cremated, have a funeral, or have the baby cremated and they will sprinkle my baby's ashes in a cemetery that was funded by the facility. And that was the option that I took because I was 21. I was a new mom. I had previously already had a miscarriage, but also in the process, never experienced this. I had no one there to tell me what to do. I had no money. I was ready to take my baby home. And that's what happened. There was a plan in place, but now, what's the plan? What is going to be offered for women? So now we're going to have to add a funeral arrangement on the tail end just in case something happens. I don't even want that for any woman in their birth plan to even be an option, but it's going to be one. And that's the sad part. It's going to be an option. It's actually not even going to be an option. It's going to have to be a requirement at this point. And no one's thinking of that part. No one thinks of that part. They only think, oh, well, we're trying to protect the lives of women and keep these women to keep giving birth to these children, not understanding that abortions happen, whether they are induced or they're spontaneous, because a miscarriage is not labeled a miscarriage in your chart. It's labeled a spontaneous abortion. And we may be on the hook for that. And we could be criminally charged for having a miscarriage, something that our bodies are not able to even control. We can't control a miscarriage. We can't control a stillborn. So what you're telling me is that I could, one, have a stillborn or a miscarriage. I too can be charged for me having a stillborn or a miscarriage because I don't have a proper plan in place because no one has given me one. It's really unfortunate that we have gotten to this point, but we're here. So now, what do? Women, ladies, parents, please, anyone up under the sound of my voice, please start reaching out to your representatives and have them to listen to you in regards to this, because this is an issue. It's not an issue with just abortions. It's an issue with human life. It's an issue with human life. I don't want to go to jail or be prosecuted for something that my body had no control over. I can't. I don't want to. And that situation with Brittany in Ohio is a prime example as to why it even got to this point. That she had a baby that was stillborn, that she knew was not going to live, and she had to figure it out herself. And then was charged for it. Because she went to the hospital multiple times and they sent her home to have this baby on her own. And also, we're too busy trying to figure out legally if they should be held responsible for her. I don't want that. I don't want that for any woman. You're already having to deal with the loss of a child, but now I'm going to lose my freedom because of it? No. We can't do that, and I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want that for anyone. Ever, ever, ever again. I don't want that for anyone. But I'm going to end this here. But I just, please start reaching out to your representatives. If you of child rearing age, if you want to continue, if you know that you have issues with your fertility, if you have issues with miscarrying, if you have any kind of issues that may possibly prevent you from having a healthy and viable pregnancy, start reaching out to your representatives. It's important. It's very important, because this needs to be put into place to where we can protect women, protect these families from just possible turmoil because of this. Somebody's got to do it. We have to keep fighting, and I'm going to be one. If it's just got to be me, I'm going to keep fighting for women. And that's what I'm going to leave it here. If you want, you can follow me on social media. I am Lindsay Becky Shea. Almost everywhere is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can follow me. I do have a podcast by the name of Journey from Infertility. You can find it on any streaming platform. Because that's one place where I've always just gotten to talk about me, talk about my issues, my journey from infertility to being a rainbow mama. And I'm passionate about this, and it's one thing that's been bothering me for the last couple of weeks. Actually last couple of months, because this situation with Brittany kind of triggered me, because was one reason why I eventually got my tubes tied. But I do want more children. I want more children, but this is scary. This is really scary. And I'm very passionate to the point, like, before I can have kids, I need an answer. I need an answer. So I'm gonna leave it here. So again, you can follow me, you can subscribe, whatever you need. If you want to catch up with me, again, I am Lindsay Becky Shea. That's LINZYBECKYSHEA. And again, that's pretty much everywhere. So thank you for listening, and I hope that we can make a change soon. Peace out.